The latest NASA photos of 3I Atlas are nothing more than blue pixels buried in noise or a faint white blur. You'd think every mystery around this interstellar object has already been solved and every myth debunked. Yet some of the world's most respected astrophysicists are still rebelling, insisting that NASA is feeding the internet only crumbs of information. So, what exactly are they keeping from you today? Almost no one stops to ask if 3I Atlas is just a comet, then where did it come from and how old is it? At first glance, the question seems dull and technical, but behind it hides a story NASA isn't rushing to reveal. Originally, scientists believed that interstellar objects like 3I Atlas should arrive from the same direction the sun is moving, like raindrops hitting the windshield of a car. But when astronomers started to calculate the comet's trajectory more precisely, they realized something strange. It came from almost the opposite direction, from the region of the Sagittarius constellation, which means from the galactic center, and Sagittarius is no ordinary patch of sky. It's one of the oldest, most densely populated neighborhoods in the Milky Way. That means the origin story of 3I Atlas, especially given its unusual speed, might be far more dramatic than anyone expected. Anything from the aftermath of a stellar collision to the slow destruction of massive ancient planets. The research is still underway, but early data suggests that the water and ice in 3I Atlas might be older than the solar system itself, with estimates reaching up to 8 billion years. And when you hear numbers like that, you start to wonder, is 3I Atlas really just a comet? Or is it an interstellar traveler passing through, exploring a brand new cosmic neighborhood? People keep overlooking one strange detail. 3I Atlas entered our solar system right at the peak of the sun's activity cycle. And the strangest part is that its trajectory brings it closest to the sun exactly when our star is unleashing its most violent flares and coronal ejections. Imagine it. Interstellar ice that spent billions of years in total darkness suddenly finds itself under the brightest possible radiation, the densest stream of charged particles, and the strongest blows from solar eruptions. Is this just a natural coincidence? Or does the comet have some kind of purpose? Something like observing the sun? NASA isn't giving any official answers, and most likely never will. On paper, 3I Atlas behaves exactly like a comet. But if you look past the surface, where it came from, the timing of its arrival, and how precisely its path aligns with the sun's activity, you can build several theories that sound surprisingly realistic. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb is one of the few who openly doubts its natural origin. Even if 3I Atlas isn't some kind of spacecraft, he argues it could still be an artificial probe designed to study stars as energy sources. His reasoning comes from the comet's chemistry, and most intriguingly, its changing color. At first, 3I Atlas glowed green. Now, as it approaches the sun, it has shifted to a deep blue. NASA has barely commented on this shift. There's no standard comet model that explains such sharp color changes, so the simplest explanation given to the public is gas scattering. But the truth is that nobody can say for sure what this object really is, or why it arrived at the exact moment when the sun is at its most explosive. NASA explains 3I Atlas behavior by saying that gas jets act like tiny thrusters. And in principle, that makes sense. Any active comet vents gas from cracks in its surface, and those jets can push it around. But with 3I Atlas, this explanation starts to fall apart the moment you look at the details. This object already had an unusually high speed before it ever reached our solar system. Once it entered, it followed a predictable trajectory until the 29th of October. That day, when the comet was only about 135,000 kilometers from the sun, it suddenly jumped in speed. The spike was so sharp that it set a record for any comet of comparable mass. And when you read NASA's technical notes, it feels like they're not entirely sure what happened either. The confusion didn't begin with the speed jump. Even earlier scientists were already trying to understand the comet's anti-tail, a strange gas structure pointing toward the sun instead of away from it. To make things even stranger, 3I Atlas has 7 distinct gas jets, each functioning like its own engine. Some point directly at the sun, others point away from it. A normal comet doesn't behave like this. With most comets, individual jets smear into one simple tail because the nucleus rotates and spreads everything out. But 3I Atlas keeps its jets separated and structured as if its motion is controlled, not chaotic. Then, within 24 hours, everything changes. Those 7 tight jets merge into a massive plume, stretching roughly 3 million kilometers, and an anti-tail forms on the other side. A sun-facing structure almost 1 million kilometers long. And here's the real kicker. You won't find this in NASA's official releases. All of this comes from astrophysicists who track the comet independently and publish their notes on private research blogs. Meanwhile, NASA looks like it's still searching for a way to explain these observations within the framework of a normal comet. But each new day brings more questions than answers, and the list is only growing. When 3I Atlas began its solar flyby, scientists expected the usual ending: heavy heating, a burst of brightness, and then a breakup. That's how most comets behave, especially the larger ones. Their nuclei crack, split apart, and dissolve into dust like frozen firewood tossed into a bonfire. But Atlas refused to follow the script. It unleashed enormous gas tails stretching millions of kilometers. It changed shape, color, and brightness. Yet the nucleus remained solid, almost immovable. No fragments, no fissures, no hint that it was falling apart. For an object that went through such an extreme oven, its durability was borderline unnatural, and the longer it survived, the more scientists had to revise its estimated size upward. Early guesses of 3 to 5 kilometers across quickly became laughable. Everything we observed, the structured gas jets, the massive spikes in brightness, the intense reaction to solar heat, pointed in one direction. This was a genuinely colossal ice monolith, possibly 10 kilometers wide, bigger than Oumuamua, bigger than Borisov, far more massive than any random interstellar traveler should be after drifting through space for billions of years. It didn't just pass through our solar system. It endured a trial that would have destroyed almost any other known comet. All the debates about 3I Atlas could have ended the moment a radio signal was picked up from the comet. And not by some amateur dish, but by South Africa's professional Meerkat array. A perfect headline for tabloids: Interstellar Object Sends Radio Message. But the excitement didn't last. A closer look showed that the radio telescope hadn't detected a message at all, but natural hydroxyl emission, the signature of water molecules breaking apart under solar ultraviolet light. The same soft radio whisper we've been hearing from ordinary comets in our own system for decades. So, yes, the comet does speak, but it speaks like ice, not like a beacon from another civilization. And yet the important part is this: the signal appeared at all. No interstellar visitor had ever done that before. Oumuamua was bone dry. Borisov was faint and quiet. But Atlas suddenly lit up with powerful water emission, strong enough to be captured by Earth-based antennas. That tells us one thing: it carries a tremendous amount of water, ice, and ancient material. And our solar system is finally heating it enough for that material to break apart and reveal itself. It's hard to say that NASA is hiding something about 3I Atlas. It's more accurate to say they're simply not telling the whole story yet. And that makes sense. A lot of the data is still being analyzed. In December, the comet will make its closest approach to Earth, and many of the questions we can't answer today will finally be examined in full detail. Until then, all we can do is wait and hope that 3I Atlas really is nothing more than a natural object.